things that you can do potentially, you just haven't really thought about it. So again, just two heads are better than one. Speak to your partner, speak to your parents, speak to your siblings, speak to your friend. Just have a conversation. Just be open, honest, and see what the crack is. But,
embrace it and turn it into what you want it to be, not what you're being told it is.
Exactly, 100%. That's exactly what it is. Like it's just one day. It's just one day. Like make of it what you want to.
Love it. Yeah. We've done all right.
That's
Merry Christmas. So we're going to make a special jingle for this or anything?
Put a little, what's that? What's that song? Elton John, Step Into Christmas. There you go.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
No, Elton John's my favourite song. I don't know why.
Welcome to the Prime Life Project podcast, a place to help you unlock your full potential, both mentally and physically, to become the best version of you.
Welcome back to an episode of the Prime Life Project podcast. I'm your host, Daniel James, and today I've got Mr. Mikey Markham back with us. Mikey, how are we?
Mate, I'm really good. I was just saying to you, I love this dynamic now. Long table, feel like a CEO.
Yeah, it's obviously so much better. Like I said, it was one of the issues that we had was that when my bellowing voice was talking, it'd get picked up in the other person's microphone and it'd make editing a bit of a nightmare. So I just saw it on Diary of a CEO, thought actually they're so far apart. And I started to watch other podcasts, and they were really far apart. And I thought, well, that's clearly how it is.
Similar style table? Or?
I've got no, much better table than this. But for what we've got, the budget we've got, this will do. And I said, because someone said to me the other day when I was at school I regularly go into, one of the teachers said, "Oh yeah, I listen to your podcast," and he made some comment about the audio quality. And I was just like, at the end of the day, mate, like I've got like a professional setup. I said, I've got a videographer, but I said, I don't have someone audio sweeping it. Like your mate, the guy that owns Mount Street Studios, like he does some of the professional podcasts. And he went, oh yeah, I understand that. I said, I don't think people realise.
What was he saying about the audio?
Or basically, like sometimes it's not quite level, like, what's the word, episode to episode, it's not consistency sometimes. But obviously since then I've moved the table around and things have been adjusted. So you're talking about a couple of months ago. And I was just thinking of myself, and basically he then made the point of, he said, well, yeah, at the end of the day, when you go back and listen to a professional podcast where they have a massive budget, like it's going to be absolutely perfect. You've got an actual sound engineer that's listening to it while it's going on, adjusting it, and it's just like, it's just what it is. He kind of laughed and went, yeah, I didn't think like that. I went, listen, it's
mate,
okay.
But remind me, I'm going to remind myself, hey Mikey, wherever I am, there's a website, can't remember what it's called, but it masters it and you can have it for like $5 now.
Oh, man,
it's really good, so I might send you that over just in case you ever do want to smooth them out.
I
think it sounds good anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I said the quality of the microphones is amazing. I had that guy from Mount Street Studios come in and basically said that actually the setup is pretty good, so it's like amazing. But it's just, I said the difference where you're basically paying him a couple of grand to basically edit it and make it literally crystal clear versus what we're doing. So I was like, it's all good. Yeah, I'm not too stressed about it.
I can hear what you're on about.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, it's more about the content, and it's not. People got a lot worse set up than us. So
how is the school? Just we'll get into what we're doing, but how is everything going in schools?
Mate, sound. Yeah, like I say, I've got my biggest. It's all coming in New Year, so I've got a lot of contracts that it all starts in the New Year, and I've got businesses as well that start in the New Year. So yeah, basically next year is where it all kind of goes crazy.
Does that mean, because actually that really rolls in nicely to this topic, because we're going to talk about Christmas today. But are you trying to calm down for the Christmas period now? Are you wanting things to slope off a little bit until you can never let it slip?
They never slope off. Like, I can't sit still. Like, I've been working on a project that's coming out in the new year for the last 6 months, and if anything, it's ramping up now. Because at the start, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do little bits here and there, and actually now I've kind of realised I've actually got more to do than I thought. So no, if anything, in the Christmas period, I'll be ramping it up.
Really? So, because we're going to talk about people's struggles, depression, potentially, whatever they're going through for Christmas. What are you? Are you a Grinch for Christmas, or how are you?
Oh, my view on Christmas is, again, I had a conversation with Katie's mum about this a couple of weeks ago. I love Christmas. Like, I genuinely love Christmas, but for me, it's got so commercialised, and people have kind of lost the essence of what it is. So for me, having December as a month where you want to celebrate and get all festive, cool, I've got no issue with that. But you've got people at the start of November putting Christmas decorations up, playing Christmas songs. It's just got so out of whack because most of these people aren't Christian. So Christmas is a celebration of Jesus Christ, his birthday. Now, that's not what I buy into. For me, Christmas is about a time for family, seeing family, doing your stuff. Like, so I'm not a Grinch at all. But I think it's got so commercialised now where we've got a lot of people where there's so much pressure on them to have all these gifts. The kids now, it's just bombarded, like it's relentless. If you don't give them all the latest stuff, you almost feel like a bit of a failure. And there's just pressure to go out for Christmas meals. There's just pressure everywhere. And I'm like, for what? Like, at the end of the day, Christmas is one day. Now, if you want to get really specific, Christmas is actually 12 days. It's the 12 days of Christmas. So Christmas is 12 days or one specific day. Yet we drag it out for potentially 2 months. And it's like, it gets a bit much. And it's like, for what? Like, what is the purpose of it? Like, if you're genuinely celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and it's your massive thing, then cool. If you want to celebrate 2 months in advance for this guy's birthday because he is your God, the guy you worship, cool. No problem with that at all. Yeah. But I just feel like now there's just so much pressure. People are almost like, I feel like people are, right now are almost struggling so much that they're looking for something to be happy about and they put all their eggs into one basket for Christmas. And let's be honest, it never really ends up how we expect it to. We build it up so much in our heads that actually the day itself never really lives up to expectation anyway.
Do you feel like Christians get annoyed by how commodified it is?
I think they love it. I think it's good because you're talking about, you've got the nativities in school still, I assume. There's all these things. I don't think necessarily the Christians get annoyed with it. I just think that it's kind of lost its meaning.
Yeah, that's why I wonder if they find that the fact that it is all materials and people selling stuff back to you, if the fact that it's lost so much meaning is, in their eyes, it's quite warped.
Yeah. Because for example, you've got Diwali, the Festival of Light, which you get a lot of religions, like I think Sikhs, Hindus. I'm not sure if Muslims do, but it's quite a prominent holiday. That's nowhere near as commercialized as Christmas. Yeah, it's a massive holiday, and that for me is the difference. Like, there's a purpose and a reason behind it, and people celebrate Diwali for the reason, like the reason behind it, the story behind it, the Festival of Light. They get it, they understand the meaning behind it. Whereas with Christmas, you've got people now that are literally Muslims celebrating Christmas. It's like, again, no problem with that at all. Like, cool, but it's like it's just got so kind of warped into what it is. We're kind of just going along with this thing that we're told we've got to celebrate. Does that make sense? It's like there's no real thing of, wait, what is this? Yeah. Does that make sense? It's like, if you hate me, if you literally despise me, are you going to celebrate my birthday? No. so for me, it's like I sound like a bit of a Grinch. I'm not a Grinch. I love Christmas. I just think that so many people have
it's lost its way,
and it's causing people to struggle. Yeah. And that's what I don't like about it. The pressure that's put on people for this one day. And so that for me, again, I'm going to talk about it a bit today, but that for me is the issue. Like, I love it. I love the whole concept behind it. Like, for me, there's nothing better than sat down on Christmas Day with my family, genuinely, absolutely love it. But I also know that's not the reality for a lot of people. So then you've also got these people that don't have that nice family dynamic, that don't actually either have a family, have a good family dynamic, or whatever it is, and this whole thing is then forced down their throats now, not just for a month, but it can be 2 months. And for me, it's just like we're not very considerate of like the actual big spectrum of it all.
I'm starting to try and enjoy it more because I've got kids now and I want them to have a really good experience from it. But I detested Christmas growing up because my mum, to be honest, I think she lost her dad around the Christmas period, and they'd like make a massive thing out of Christmas. It was the family dinner, everybody together. They'd have all the lights and everything up. And the Mullen Ferroses, my mum's side, were quite known for the Christmas period, I feel. So the expectation put on us guys, me, my dad, my sister, to have everything prepped up, ready, be having a great time, have a good time, have a good time. Have you ever tried to have a good time?
Force.
It's
so
contrived.
This is how you should feel. This is how you should feel. And that's, again, what I don't like.
Yeah.
You make a really good point on that, kids. And I said, I feel like for kids, you've got to make it magical because that's a once in... But again, it doesn't... Kids' understanding of time. If you made Christmas like a 2 or 3 week thing, they'd have the best 2 or 3 weeks ever. But now it's so long-winded. Yeah. You've got kids at like November asking when Santa come in. It's like,
and every time I'm going to the shops now, I've got to come back out with something new.
Exactly.
Literally, we put our Christmas tree up yesterday because Ella was like, "Can I put the Christmas tree up today?" Where's she got that from? Yep. That must be school.
Yep.
Because we have not spoke of it at all. But now she's coming home. Can we do this? So it's already imposed upon us quite quickly, and I've got to get into that spirit. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure around this time and expectation. I think for ourselves, we're going to try and organically build into it. I'm not going to turn off the radio if a song comes on, or I'll watch a film now and then. Yeah. But I don't want to start getting like spending out. Our business is like a struggle at the minute. Paying the rent's a struggle. And then now to feel this extended pressure on and what we're going to get them and what we're going to do for everyone else. It's really lost its way in that scope for me.
It's almost become a case of like who can outspend and get the best
Yeah,
presents.
that's true. That's very, very true.
Like, you do it in as people can't afford it. Like people are genuinely struggling at the moment, like the financial squeeze, and you've got people again that are pretty financially well off that are struggling. Think about the people on the poverty line, and yet there's this thing now where, and again, I understand it's all relative to people. I get that, but it's like there's that unnecessary thing of you almost got to get yourself into some sort of debt, and you've got that comment with that company is where they say, "Oh, pay for Christmas, buy Christmas now, pay for it whenever." Do Parkway Drive? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I'm thinking there's all this stuff. It's like it doesn't have to be that way. Like you can get into the festive spirit without spending money, and that for me is that's different. Like I look
things,
exactly
make things,
watch movies on TV, listen to the music, great, but it doesn't have to be about buying things. You don't have to buy lavish decorations for your house, like outside, and have this giant reindeer. You don't have to spend thousands on your kid's present to prove and validate that you're a good parent. Because like, who have you proven it to? Like again, if you need to buy your kids the best thing, the most expensive thing. To almost like buy your kids love.
Gift of time, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just getting back and like, okay, we'll do some drawings together, or we'll sit down, or be with a Christmas film on, get a bit of food in. Beautiful.
And again, I know it's also the thing of like, and I understand that the kids, there's pressure when they go back into school. And it's like, oh, what do you have for Christmas? I get that. I do understand there's a pressure there. I fully understand that. Yeah. But there's things you can do that are more meaningful. So the kid gets maybe 10 or 15 things that cost the equivalent of one thing, but those 15 things are a bit more meaningful. They've got more things to open. Does that make sense? Rather than having this big one thing that in a year's time is going to be irrelevant, where you can actually make something a little bit more meaningful.
We'll talk about a lot of components of what people may be struggling around for Christmas. This one's probably more face value, and we don't have to go too into it. But even like nutrition, I've got loads of friends that are really apprehensive and nervous about letting themselves go off the bandwagon now because they're starting with the Bailey's coffees and so on for the Christmas period. They just go off for December. Yep. Do you have any advice for people like that are going to just go off the rails with diet and stuff?
People need to be honest with themselves. And the reality of it is people have been off the rails all year. Yeah. That's the reality of it. The reality of it is people have been off the rails probably since summer. And now they're realising, because Christmas food's a bit more stodgy. Like you said, you've got your hot chocolates and stuff. Yeah. So they're feeling a bit crappier. And they're like, oh, I don't want to go off the track for Christmas. And if they were being honest with themselves, they were never on track to go off track in the first place. I know that sounds savage, but that's the reality of the situation. Like, for me, again, especially when I was doing all the personal training side of stuff, and that was my main source of income, I'd always say to clients, pick and choose your battles. Like, pick and choose battles. Go out and have your Christmas thing. You can do stuff once a week around the festive period and not be a problem. You can have a hot chocolate every now and again and it not be a problem. The issue isn't the odd Baileys that you have. It's not the one Christmas meal you go out with for your work thing a week. It's the rest of the stuff you do outside of that, and that's the issue. It's discipline. Like no one is forcing you to have that hot chocolate with extra whipped cream on and the marshmallows and the Baileys, and no one's forcing you to do that. No one's forcing you to have all these mince pies. No one. So if you're that bothered by it, just have an honest conversation with yourself and be like, this Christmas period, I'm just going to make sure that I'm a bit more mindful and a bit more disciplined. I'm going to have a few things here and there, but am I having this for the sake of having it? If the answer is yes, do something about it. And that's the reality of the situation. Because what most people do at the Christmas period, you're right, they let themselves go, they gain 20 pounds over the festive period. Because I say it's a month. It's got a month and a half of eating rubbish. Because it's cold, dark, wet, I get it. So they gain 20 pounds. They're now net up 20 pounds. Then they go into the summer period. Oh, I need to diet down. Oh, January, start January. They'll lose 10 pounds. So they're still 10 pounds up. Yeah. They'll then go into the holiday period and, I need to get in shape for summer. They'll lose another 5. So now still £5 up from when they went to the Christmas period. They then go on holiday. Yeah. When they're on holiday, gain another £15. They're now back up to net 20. And after the summer holiday, no one can be motivated to do anything. Yeah. So maybe they gain another 5. So they're now up £25 from when they were this time last Christmas. Yeah. And then the vicious cycle starts again. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing. It's like people just go in waves. And this is what I say to people. You shouldn't be dieting for Christmas or for summer holidays. Like, you should be looking at yourself and being like, do I want to be healthy? Because that's what it's all about. If you're just going for fat loss, you're going to fail. You want to become a healthy person. That doesn't mean you're not ever having chocolates. I have chocolates. I have pizzas. I love pizzas. I love them. Like, we're going out tonight to watch a gig. I will have something. I'm going out to Wagamama's. The difference is that most of the time, my diet is spot on. That's the difference. Where people are trying to just force this thing, they do it temporarily. They hate it. They literally hate it. They beat themselves up. and then it's go up and down, up and down. And if you look at it, the graph just gradually goes up, and each year they're probably up £10 from where they were the year before, and they can't figure out why.
It's a really interesting perspective.
Because you haven't made the basic fundamental change. You need to change the identity of someone trying to get in shape and change to be like, I am someone that values my health and fitness.
Mate, that's very,
it's a completely
very true.
different. That's a whole different podcast. But that's the issue.
Then you become a disciplined person. You care
it's part
about
of who
the
you
feeling.
Are. It's not about living like a monk. I'm not one of these people that's like demonises carbs and stuff. It's nothing to do with that. It's just actually looking at it, the bigger picture, or just being like Christmas isn't your problem. Your problem is the other 10 months of the year where you've eaten absolute crap and had no discipline, and now you're noticing it more because the food is more readily available and it's more socially acceptable around this time of the year to eat that rubbish. You probably dive a little bit too much into it, and now you're feeling more rubbish.
Yeah, you're not living self-aware and consciously. You're just following trends.
And I understand
like
it's
Christmas
hard.
time. Oh, I'm gonna just get off the bandwagon like everybody else because they're all doing it, and you're living to other people's means and not your own.
And if you really value it and it does bother you, do something about it.
Yeah,
and that's what do something about it.
Yeah, I really like that. Have structures in place. So, love that.
Yeah, just I say because people love to moan about it. At the end of the day, no, even if you hire a personal trainer, they're not doing anything. You've got to do it. But the difference is, are you forcing yourself to do it? Or do you genuinely value being fit and healthy? Because if you value at your core to be fit and healthy and you want to become a fit and healthy person, that's very different than trying to force yourself to lose weight. Very different, two different things.
Yeah, sit with that feeling. It's really good. In fact, I've had it before, and I just realised recently, I love feeling healthy. I love feeling great. So I've got that play it forward idea where, okay, I can have that chocolate now, and I know I'll probably feel okay tomorrow. But if I, as a celiac as well, have a pizza and so on, I know exactly how that's going to feel. So during the Christmas period for myself, I'm just going to be very conscious about, is this the right moment?
Pick and choose your battles. That's it, pick and choose your battles. Like, I mean, let's say if it's a massive family event and there happens to be a slice of pizza there, are you going to turn it down? Probably not. You have it, but you understand the consequences. But we're just having stuff for the sake of it, just because it's Christmas, or just because it's a Friday night, or a Saturday night, or a Sunday night. That's the problem. Just because. No. Pick and choose your battles, because you can justify every single day of the week why you're eating what you're eating. Cool.
You said a key word in there. If you're at a big family event. So for some people, that sounds horrendous, and you know. I can be honest here. Last year, we didn't even celebrate Christmas together with any of the family. It was just me, Chrissy, Ella. We didn't even have a little one then. So it was just the three of us, and we went and got an Airbnb somewhere because we were going through not a very nice time as the family. Now, they've all kind of overcompensated now. The family are sort of pandering like, you can spend it with us if you want, but you don't have to. I'm like, we're not in that time. We were having a bad time then. We're not there now. Of course, we can spend it together and we'd be happy to do that. But I don't like that sort of pandering feeling now, because I've sensed this like stepping on eggshells together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for people that really do struggle in family settings, family parties, dynamics, this is a box of snakes. I'm guessing the answer to this. And it's so nuanced. But have you got thoughts and ideas for people that are really worried about the big day or spending a few days together? So
for me, it's first sitting with why it bothers you. So if you have got these feelings, like feeling anxious or nervous about these big situations, have you actually explored why? And it could be, I hate my mum. Okay, it's a really surface level thing. Like, why do you hate your mum? Is it from stuff from childhood? Are you still holding a grudge? Like, what is it that is bothering you? And have you then actually articulated? Have you had a conversation? Because kind of what you sort of mentioned there about last year, you were in this space, but this year you're not. If you haven't articulated it, then your mum may still assume you're in that same place. So again, it's just straight away, it's just actually articulating where your sort of head's at. So for me, it's just assessing, what are you nervous about? What are you anxious about? What are you apprehensive about? What actually is it? Because you need to first identify that before you can actually do anything about that. And then if it's just you by yourself and there's no one else involved, so there's no kids, you've got to make a decision. And it's your favourite word. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth it? Is going and having that meal and maybe seeing your brothers, which you love your brothers, you love your dad, is seeing your mum, I'm just assuming it's the mum here, this is just me making situations up, is seeing your mum and having that really awkward interaction and her saying little snide comments about your weight and your job and being single, is that worth seeing your brothers for and your family? If the answer is yes, then just understand that's kind of part of it. If it's not worth it, you have no obligation to go. You have to look after yourself and your mental health in that situation. And that person, maybe the mother, maybe, oh, you're ruining the family Christmas for everyone. No, you're not. you're not. Like, Christmas is what, do you know what I mean? It's especially if you've articulated and explained it, especially if you have got that good relationship with your dad and your brothers, maybe you should articulate the reason why you're not going or why you don't feel comfortable. And let's take it a step further. If you really don't want to have that conversation, just make up that you going to another friend's house or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't. For me, it's not putting yourself in that situation if you don't have to, because you don't owe anyone anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't make someone feel something. They're doing it to themselves, whether they want to admit it or not. But it's then taking a step back. If you've got kids, that's then another dynamic in there. Because if the kid's got a good relationship with their grandma, I then believe you've got a responsibility to kind of put your ego and your beef aside. If it's just that one day, do you know what I mean? Because especially if your grandkids have got that, your kids have got that good relationship with their grandma, again, you don't want to take that away from them just because you are feeling a certain way about certain stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah. But again, is it worth it? Like, if that grandma, again, makes your kids feel uncomfortable, that's another reason not to be doing it. Just because it's Christmas, everyone says you've got to spend time with your family. No, you don't. You can have your own traditions. And I think that's the thing with this, like, create your own traditions, especially again, because again, I know that Katie, when we were talking about this, obviously at Christmas, she doesn't have her little lad for the whole day. So again, we do our own thing. Yeah. So it's understanding that actually when there's different situations, like in the single parent households, again, it can be a very lonely time because maybe they're not with a child and actually they don't have their good family support. Okay, when you do have your child at a certain stage, make your own Christmas. It doesn't have to be on Christmas Day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, make your own traditions, do your own thing that feels right and good for you. Yeah. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but society will tell you that there is massive pressure. Yeah. Does that make sense? There's nothing wrong. Sorry, Karen,
and I was just going to say, and just really trying to alleviate them expectations the best you can. If you're going to be even on your own for Christmas, just do a you day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, put the best music on that you love, play a game, watch a film that you love, and just do whatever you can.
Off, because don't want social media. So you're going to say, well, again, just again, and then maybe speak to your friends and say, listen, again, if you've got a good group of friends,
probably some good charitable work as well to 100%. Be taken part in.
100%. Like, don't make it by yourself, make it by other people, and then maybe on Boxing Day, say to your friends, "Do you mind if you have like we have a second Christmas or something?" And maybe go do something with your friends. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So you're sort of looking around, but there's no shame in spending Christmas Day by yourself if that's what you need, because you've got that chance of actually spending it by yourself and having a good day, not an amazing day, just a good, okay day, versus going into what could be described as a massive dumpster fire and like hell on earth for you. That's worth it.
Can I piggyback on something you said as well about, we're talking about somebody that you're concerned about seeing in that family dynamic. I reckon when we did that course with Paul Cope, also don't go in there expecting a fight and looking for any snide remark, because maybe they're trying to change their dance and they're feeling a similar way. So just go in with an open heart and open mind and try and change your dance. If you know that you don't get on about politics, don't talk politics. If you know there's certain things that are going to instigate a fire, just think about that and don't put that forward and try and talk of the niceties that you can at Christmas.
And you can also as well not leave it till Christmas Day. So if you're unsure, let's say you've not seen this person for a year, maybe just reach out now.
Say, I've already got this like anticipation coming.
Fancy going for a coffee? So it's out of that big heated environment and just see where their land lies. Yeah. And literally, if you're like, this person is an absolute C-bomb, I just don't want to be in their presence. Then okay, then you've made that decision. Well, actually, when you meet them and you have that coffee, like, do you know what? I can tolerate them. As you said, we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about the past. We're not going to talk about this. And actually, you communicate your concerns. Listen, I'm not sure where this tension's come from over the last 3 years. Like, can we have a conversation about this? Because I'd really like to build this relationship back up with you.
Never as bad as it is in your head.
Exactly.
You've made a massive situation up in your head of what they're probably going to say. And if they said this, you're going to do this.
But again, they might have history as well. They might genuinely be a horrible person. Yeah. But it could again be from childhood. They didn't treat you nicely growing up. Okay, I get that. However, they genuinely may become aware of this and trying to make amends through your grandkids. Does that make sense? Yeah. So for their grandkids, I'm assuming it's the grandparents here, because it could also be your brothers. Yeah. Because again, you could, like, literally, your brother could be the issue. So again, it's then asking, in that situation, maybe speaking to your parents and saying, listen, I'll use my name, like, let's say, oh, is Daniel going to be there today? And it's like, oh yeah, he's coming around in the evening. Okay, well, can you go around during the day when he's not there? So if he is the issue, can you kind of have the whole Christmas thing when he's not there? Does that make sense? So just kind of working and navigating
up and make it work for you, whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's be pragmatic. Exactly. There's no pressure. It doesn't have to be anything. Yeah. If you don't want to see family, you don't have to see family. Like, if you don't have a good relationship, don't force it. But then my question is always, what can you do about it? What responsibility can you take for this situation? Is there anything that you can do to actually try and fix the situation? If the answer is yes, then you owe it to yourself and maybe you potentially your kids to try. Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to change anything, but at least you can hold your hand up high and say, you know what? I've tried to be the bigger person here. I've tried to fix this. I've tried to bury the hatchet. They're just having none of it. I'm out. There's a difference with it, rather than, like you said, just building up in your head, doing nothing about it, and then the whole thing just kind of blows up time and time again. But there's no need, although it's meant to be this whole thing around family, again, especially if you've got your family, have your own family traditions. So we start your own family traditions where it's just you, your kids, and your partner. Exactly, you, your kids, your partner. Maybe you've got a single friend that doesn't go on with their family as well, or whatever it is. Invite them around. You can have your own. There's no right or wrong way to do Christmas. I think that's the core thing of this. There's no right or wrong way.
And then be organic to the moment, because my uncle, I can tolerate and we get on enough, but he is that Uncle Knobhead. In every family there's one, and eventually when he gets too drunk, that's when my moment to go is. And I've tried to get through that before, and then I throw things at him, not literally but verbally, but again, try and endure it because I'm stubborn. So I'm like, got to get through this, got to put him in his place. He's never going to remember that in the morning. But when you start sensing those times, be organic to that moment and be like, okay, cool, I don't want this to turn into anything. I'm probably going to leave now.
And because again, you know that as well. So you're aware that after a certain, and again, you know that as well. Maybe again, maybe it's your mum, your dad, your brother, that actually after a certain time, whether they've had too much food, alcohol, it's like at a wedding. You know, at a certain time of the wedding, it turns, and that's your time to leave. It could be the same thing with your family. Exactly, but it could be exactly the same thing. And it's also, again, expressing your boundaries, like when you're there as well. Just be like, listen, if you're going to start getting smashed again, just let you know, I will be leaving. So just straight away, just let you know, listen, like if you're going to that level like you always do, I'm taking my kids and we're going home. So again, just explaining it straight away that you do you. I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but just let you know that if it gets to that level, like, we're going home. So again, you're not doing it in a weird way, you're not doing it in a malicious way, you're not trying to cause any argument. It's just kind of saying that this is my boundary here. And again, boundaries aren't a word, it's an action. So if it does get to that stage, again, just off you go. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. But I think the biggest thing is just asking yourself, like, where's this all come from? Is there something you can do about it? Can you maybe meet up or have a conversation before the big Christmas day to actually try and alleviate any sort of issues, have that conversation? Don't assume they're going to rock up in a certain way. There's going to be certain situations. But at the end of the day, some people are just arseholes. They're never going to change, and that's okay. You've got to do what feels good and right for you. But again, if you've got kids, understand that it's one day. Can you suck it up for your kids if it means they get to have a relationship with your family, etc., etc., etc.? So again, it's just balancing it out. There's, like you said, it's nuanced. There's no right or wrong answer to it. It's just we're just throwing stuff out there.
Or reach out and talk about it. The more you communicate about it, the more you may come up with an answer.
Exactly.
But
talk to your friends as well.
It is funny, isn't it? This time of the year, it's very all the podcasts we've done together and everything you talk about. It all umbrellas during this sort of festive period. Communication, boundary setting. There's so much discovery about yourself. So just go into it with an open heart.
Because I'm slightly different as well. Because again, I've got a great relationship with my family, but during the last couple of years, we've massively differed on opinions of stuff. And I just love throwing the grenade in. I am that guy that will sit there and deliberately just throw the grenade in because I'm just like, I just want to see what the crack is with this. So literally, the whole Meghan Markle situation was a great one. I love throwing that in there, just sort of see where it's at. So I am that guy that just sits there because again, we don't. It doesn't get aggressive or angry and stuff. It's just a real heated debate, and I just love to just every now and again. I'm just like, just going to see where.
Fuel the fire. Just see what this does.
So, but that's it. That's just me.
I love a contrarian. To be honest.
So I know they think very, very differently, and sometimes I like to go back into the Matrix. See what the Matrix is saying.
So, what you guys up to now? Another thing that we've not spoken about, and I did watch on TikTok or something the other day, a video, and it was this stepdad it was the kid's real dad, and he'd gone round to the stepdad's house, and he'd had a massive go at the stepdad because he bought him an Xbox. And he's like, what are you doing that for? You know that I can't afford that. He's going to be coming here now all the time. And he got really irate about this thing because he didn't have the money to do that. And the stepdad's doing that. And they have a really kind of horrible confrontation for a bit. And then suddenly they get one another. It was an interesting video. But yeah, there is that comparing with each other and what the kid down the road's going to get. And it's a horrible time for finance and money. And some people just don't have the means in these horrible times at the minute. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on money and people's anticipation about spending in these times?
Again, it's kind of what we linked into earlier is don't have that expectation that you've got to spend loads of money because you don't. Like I said, so for that dad, for example, that dad versus the stepdad in that scenario, again, you said it kind of all got they figured it out in the end. But for me, it's understanding that the kid's dad is his dad, and the stepdad can never have that bond. So it's understanding that actually the kid probably just wants to spend time with his dad. Do you know what I mean? So there's that whole thing to it. Actually spending quality time with your child, that should be number one. And some of these big gifts, the gifts, for me, it's the meaning behind it. And again, I do understand, again, if you've got kids that go into secondary school, like primary school, like there is that element of competition. But for me, it's understanding, don't just be bankrupting yourself. Think of the bigger picture. And again, I'm going extreme with this to drive the point home. But if you've got a choice between, say, buying your kid an Xbox and then potentially losing your house because you can't afford the mortgage, is it really worth buying that kid the Xbox and financially crippling yourself for the rest of the year and then also next year? So for me, it's just been like, is it worth it? And for me, it's not actually, maybe not getting the kid the Xbox, maybe spending 50 quid, and that may be even too much for some people, 50 quid, but buying something really meaningful. Because there's some amazing stuff you can get on Etsy. Let's say that he's a football fan, this little kid. Get him some personalised sports talk, just something. There's things you can get out there that'd be a lot more meaningful than just this Xbox. Because then his mate will have an Xbox, you can go to his mate's house to play the Xbox. Does that make sense? And then also having that conversation with your child and actually explaining why they can't get the Xbox. Because kids like to understand things. So rather than being like, because you've been a naughty boy, exactly because you've been a boy, no, you're actually teaching them the value of money. And and that's the big thing, because again, you should want better for your kids. So again, it's not saying you've done anything wrong that's put you in that financial situation. Everyone's struggling financially. But then actually explain to your child why. Do you know what I mean? So the kids actually get some education out of it as well. So rather than you shying away from money, which I think is the biggest thing, like we'd like to try and hide this money situation from kids. Just ask yourself, if your parents were a bit more honest and open with you about money when you were growing up, would that have actually helped you where you as an adult? And I'm going to hypothesize yes. If they're actually genuinely honest with you about financial struggles and why they were struggling and what they could do about it, I think it'd make I don't think it's a problem. I genuinely don't think it's a problem. And then just looking, again, just taking it a step back, and if, again, I know it's a bit too late now when this goes out in December, but goes with anything, like if you know that Christmas is a big thing for your family, can you just put £2, £3 a week away each week, every week, leading up to Christmas? So rather than leaving it to the last minute, if you know Christmas is a big thing for the family and the kids, can you just, because again, rather than going and having that Costa coffee, rather than having that packet of cigarettes, rather than going down the pub for that extra pint, can you put that money you would have for that pint and just put it in a Christmas fund? So there's things that you can do to alleviate that. But again, it's looking at the bigger picture rather than that short-term satisfaction. Does that make sense? So again, I know it's a bit too late now potentially, but then looking at it for next year, if you really are in a situation where money is tight and it's crippling you and it's causing you a lot of anxiety, you can't necessarily change anything now in the run-up to this Christmas. But you can learn your lessons and be like, actually, do you know what? Rather than going out each week and going to the pub on a Friday or getting smashed once a month with the girls or whatever it is, actually, do you know what? Or having that takeaway, do you know what? Rather than having that takeaway, we'll go and have a pizza from the local Sainsbury's, and then the difference, we'll stick that for like a Christmas thing. And over the year, that then builds up. And it's just these small little things that you can do to make a bigger difference.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about reframing the way that you see this whole time coming up, isn't it? Because
it's not about the presents.
Yeah,
it's not about the presents. I can't stress that enough. Again, look at Easter. Easter is the resurrection of Christ. Yeah. That is what it is, a religious holiday. It's got nothing to do with chocolate bunnies. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So again, you've got a choice. You can either give the kid a bunny and an egg, because two things, or you can just load them with chocolate. For what purpose? What's the purpose of it? You're not teaching them anything.
Yeah, reframe what Christmas is to you.
Yeah, and a family.
What is it to us?
Exactly.
If you can make it, do you know what? It's being together as much as possible. Yeah. It's getting out, but not having to spend loads and loads of money on it. That's a beautiful thing.
And then also explaining as well, maybe to the kids, because again, let's say you go on a family holiday, and you basically explain to kids, listen, we can get you this Xbox, but it means you can't go on holiday in the summer. So just explain the situation. And actually be like, do you know what? Like, everyone's coming around, your cousins are coming around. Yeah, your cousins are coming around. You'll get football, you can go to the park with your dad and your uncles. Do you mean you're making it about that big family thing? Because I remember, like, growing up, I can't remember any of the presents I got. But you know what I used to love? The family walks. We still go on them. The family walks after. That's what I remember. I remember, like, the magic of Christmas, where you're there and it's the food. It's the food, it's the crackers, like everyone having a good time. That, for me, I can't remember what presents I got when I was a kid. But I do remember on certain occasions where actually I didn't get what I necessarily wanted and I felt a bit jealous going to school. But again, if I had explained to me why potentially I didn't get that, because I've got 3 younger brothers and actually as the eldest, maybe I've got to be a bit of a sacrifice to make it more special for them, and understanding that my best mates didn't have kids, brothers and sisters, all of these things, it helps you understand it and alleviate it. And as you said, you make it about for your family, it's actually about the celebration. It's actually about spending quality time together. It's about getting out and have that nice walk and seeing your cousins that you've not seen, and make it about that.
Can I give a definite don't do for Christmas? And my dad did this to me, and if you're going to talk about mental scars, this is the worst thing. It's probably about 8, and I went downstairs, and we all used to have presents on our settees that would be in. So mum's there, dad, sister, and me. And went down, and I've only got like 1 or 2 presents on mine, and everybody's got loads on theirs. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So I opened my first 2, and then my dad just went, yeah, that's you done now because nobody likes you. And then afterwards, he wheeled in a bike, to be fair. But at 8, I don't have the mental capacity and the emotional awareness to get through. So that really scarred me. I remember I've cried for ages. And even when they brought in a bike, it was like, nobody likes you. It's such a horrible thing. I remember that for Christmas.
It's the wording in it. Like,
we didn't get you anything. No, Santa didn't bring anything else because no one likes you.
Because again, that's such a dad comment to like, be a bit trying to be funny.
You've got no friends. That
again, understand as an 8-year-old, I say don't have emotional intelligence to deal with that. So again, be very careful about the wording that you're using.
I remember that, honestly. That was the one present I did remember because it impacted it in such a way. But and I suppose also friends going out and things, just get rid of embarrassment. If you can't afford to go out and spend all the night on drinks and you don't want to drink as well, that's fine too. Just they'll be your friends, real friends, and they'll understand can we go for a coffee? Can we go for a Christmas walk? Can we do this? That might be another suggestion.
Because especially if you're a very social being, if you're a social being, got a lot of friends, you could end up going out maybe twice a week, every week, for the whole month of December. And even if you're just going for drinks, that's a lot of money. And again, so for me, it's just prioritising it and just basically explain to your friends, listen, like, you know, we've got their little kids. Again, it doesn't have to be people with kids. But if you've got kids, just explain this. I can't, just be very open and honest. I can't afford to go out and have this, but I'd love to catch up with you over a coffee and a walk. Doing whatever it is. Like there's ways around that because, again, it's not about, and this is what people do sometimes around Christmas and seeing friends. It's not about the food. It's not about the meal. It's about spending quality time with your friends. And who says you have to do it around Christmas anyway? Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like, again, let's just take a step back. If you wait until, and again, it could be because your friends are travelling back because they live out elsewhere. I do get that. But throughout the year, can you make a conscious effort to connect with that friend that you only meet with once a year at Christmas, to maybe meet with them around the summer period? Do you know what I mean? Can you go and do that instead? Like, can you, rather than just being at Christmas when financially you know you're stretched, you know you've got all your other mates to see, can you make more of an effort throughout the year to go and see them another time? Maybe the answer is no, but it's just asking yourself the question. And again, it should, the whole point of seeing your friends and going out around the Christmas period is to socialise. It's not about going to the restaurant and having the food. People miss that. It's not about getting drunk. It's not about partying. It's about spending quality time with your friends. That's it. And again, you've got the co-worker parties. Again, I get that as well. You're going out with your work colleagues. Again, I get that. But it's also a time to spend quality time with people outside the office. That doesn't mean you have to get absolutely wasted. It's a choice. And again, I do sound like I'm bar humbug, but again, this is the reality of the situation. If you are genuinely struggling that much, you have a choice. You do not have to do anything. You don't have to go and see all of your friends. You don't have to go to all the office parties. You don't have to. You can just say no. No is a complete sentence. It doesn't need an explanation. But if you want to give an explanation, just be open and honest. Don't BS, because people can smell the bullshit. Do you mean? Just be honest. Like, I genuinely, like, you've got the little one this year. Like, he wants an Xbox. Other consoles are available. He wants the Xbox. I genuinely can't afford to be going out on all these nights out. We simply can't afford it. Now, if your friend's gonna have a problem with that, they're not your friends. And that's as black as white it needs to be. I don't care if that hurts people's feelings. If you're setting that boundary and you're explaining, and that is your reason, and your friend kicks off about it, cool. Well, then you're not my friend anymore, because I've just explained to you, been very vulnerable and opened up about my financial situation, about I'm looking to support little Jimmy over here, and then you're going to have an issue with that because I won't go out and get wasted with you. Nah, cool. And that's it.
I want to throw your end question on all your podcasts at you. So if somebody's feeling out of control towards Christmas coming up, it's closing in on them and suffocating them. Can you sort of condense a lot of what we've spoken about for those people that are really nervous about this time?
If you've got a partner, speak to your partner about it, because they might be feeling the same thing as well. I think a lot of the time we can keep it to ourselves that we're struggling. So again, depending on how old your kids are as well, maybe articulate it to your kids. Like, not to the extent you would with your partner, but just explain to your kids. Do you want me to explain to them, like, in a loving way, just explain to them, like, listen, like, whatever it is that the issue is, let's say it's finances, and again, the kids are buzzing, oh, can we get this? Can we get that? Can we just have a real honest conversation? Listen, this year, like, for whatever reason, we can't afford X, Y, and Z. Like, we're going to get you a nice present, and actually, we're going to make it about the thing.
Yeah,
so the kids
have
straight
a great
away,
day about it.
Exactly. So straight away, the kid knows, rather than be like, oh, yeah, we'll get that. Oh, yeah, we'll get that. And then the kids expect to have 1,000,001 presents, and then they get let down.
All you're doing is putting loads of stress on yourself, and then resentment at them.
Yeah.
So it's going to push them away. You're going to repel that.
But then also speak to your partner as well. Like, is there something we can do here? Listen, I can work overtime at work. It means you have to have the kids more. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Is there a way around it? Is there a way around it? Exactly. Is there a compromise? Maybe the answer is no. Or you just explain it to your partner that you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Can he help out with some stuff? Like, can he? Because again, it's all about perspective. So again, I was watching some more magic tricks the other day, which is hilarious. So this guy got a woman up on stage. She was sat down. He was doing this card trick in front of her, or whatever he was doing. And then there's 3,000 people in the audience. She could not figure out how he was doing this magic trick, and she was absolutely perplexed. But what he was doing something, and when he put his hand over her head, he was throwing the card behind her, or whatever it was behind her, but she then couldn't see that. All the other 3,000 people could, because they're not in it. And that's what he was laughing about. And the whole thing he was talking about was perspective. Her perspective was she was so in it, she couldn't see. Yeah. But actually, the 3,000 other people could see that it was such a blatant trick that he was doing, but she couldn't. So actually, was either speaking to a friend, someone outside the situation, just express how you're feeling, what's going on, and maybe they might have a different perspective and actually give you an answer that you haven't seen before. But then again, if it is, again, you're struggling with finances, is there something you can do around the other times of the year to ease the pressure? Because again, if something comes to taxes, when I start being self-employed, everyone leaves it to the last minute to do their taxes. And I sat there for one day for like 12 hours doing all the taxes. I then made the decision 2 or 3 years ago, every Friday, I was going to sit and do my taxes. Takes the pressure off. Now again, have I done that this year? No, I haven't. So that's a reminder to myself. I haven't done that. But again, so straight away, I've now realised that. I'm going to start doing that, so there's not the pressure to do it. But then what you're doing is, rather than having this massive pressure on this one day, you alleviate the pressure throughout the rest of the year. So again, just have that honest conversation. If you are struggling, if you are feeling overwhelmed, speak to your partner, speak to your kids, depending on how old the kids are, and again, how they're going to understand it. Maybe speak to your parents as well, depending on what your relationship's like with them. Because again, there might be a great relationship. Explain. Maybe your siblings or just have an honest, open conversation. And also speak to your mates, because actually, how you're feeling, most people are probably feeling the same way as well. Most people are probably feeling the same way as well. Yeah, they're all putting on this mask. Oh, it's Christmas, forced to be happy, everything's great, when really it's not. So just have that honest conversation. I think it will make a massive difference. Just share the load. And actually, by you and your friends communicating, you might both come up with some great ideas you hadn't thought of about how to actually make Christmas go a little bit further on less.
Might be a good time in strengthening all those relationships.
100%. Because you never know. Like, again, I don't know how it works, but again, even on like Etsy and stuff, maybe if you buy stuff in bulk, actually it halves the price. I've got no idea. Do you know what I mean? There's things that you can do potentially. You haven't really thought about it. So again, just 2 heads are better than one. Speak to your partner, speak to your parents, speak to your siblings, speak to your friend. Just have a conversation. Just be open, honest, and see what the crack is. But
embrace it and turn it into what you want it to be, not what you're being told it is.
Exactly, 100%. That's exactly what it is. Like it's just one day. It's just one day. Like make of it what you want to.
Love it.
Yeah.
We've done all right.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas. So we're going to make a special jingle for this.
Yeah, put a little what's that song? Elton John, Step Into Christmas. There you go.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
No, Elton John's my favourite song. I don't know why.
It could have been any of them.
Oh, Mikey, where can people find out more information about you?
I am Mikey. No, I'm not Mikey Markham. I am Mikey Markham, but you'll find me at Rhythmical Mike, which is my music, and that's at the Old Farm Bus.
Amazing. And again, don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram as well at the Project. Until next time, take it easy.